So Louise, welcome to BUCS Super Rugby.
Thank you.
Feels weird not talking to Claire Cruikshank. You
I
know,
mean, she is the bedrock of all things Edinburgh University and has been for a long time. So yeah, people still call me Shanks occasionally, so don't worry if that happens.
I mean, she leaves an amazing legacy from what she's done over the many years, like not just with Edinburgh, but with Scotland, which she's going deeper into now. For you, it must be such an exciting proposition to pick up the baton.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the work that's been done over the last 8 to 10 years at University of Edinburgh and building the performance programme is phenomenal. I think it's now hitting a point where there's a lot of changing landscapes in rugby in Scotland and globally that are adding different layers of challenge and adding new things that we need to think about. So I think the exciting part for me coming in now is it's not about just replicating what's been happening. It's about how do I allow the club and the performance programme to evolve? How do we continue to add value and take into account the changes that are happening around about Celtic Challenge and kind of national programmes and what that's all going to look like post World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, for those who sort of don't know the intricacies, yeah, Edinburgh were the first Women's National League champions before it went to Cup. You had a famous final against Hartpury where you came so close against, you know, one of the great, well, probably the greatest Women's BUCS Super Rugby team ever. But the way that Edinburgh intertwined with Scottish age groups and how many players you provide, and now like featuring in the Women's Rugby World Cup, it's a massive part of the Scottish ecosystem, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the partnership and the understanding that we've had and that University of Edinburgh have developed with Scottish Rugby is critical, and we know that we will continue to be an opportunity and a programme that can support some of the best young players in Scotland, not only in academic success but also in that sporting success and the platform that we can provide them. And I think the bit where we now need to add is how do we continue to support them, play our part in the Scottish rugby pathway, but also look at how we kind of how we can add to that from like becoming bigger global connections and just kind of starting to filter through other opportunities for international players or prospective international players to come into a programme like Edinburgh and then give them the opportunity to play in something like BUCS Super Rugby.
So that's the pathway stuff. That's the off-field stuff. Tell me, what does a Louise Dalgliesh side look on the blades of grass themselves?
It's all rugby, isn't it? It's just they want to play the game. So
Just
I think
total rugby, yeah?
Yeah, I am. I think people will probably challenge that I'm a bit quite instinctive as a coach. I want players to have freedom to play. I am not a fan of directive ways of playing, overly reliant on structure. I don't think that suits our player profile in Scotland or at Edinburgh Uni, and I don't think that's not rugby that I want to watch. So
Yeah.
watch this space in terms of how that translates. But yeah, I think I genuinely want players to I want them to be multi-skilled. We're going to drive the kind of messaging around opportunities and what they can create on field, and ultimately that will lead to hopefully a lot of success, and it will also lead to challenges on the other side of the ball. So I've already briefed my defence coach and he's going to have, he's going to have some work to do to almost balance out my enthusiasm and my all-court rugby, and then we're there to hopefully sweep in and maybe do some damage limitation when it comes to the over-exuberance that I'm hoping that the players will take onto the field.
I love it. Like, we're sort of 360 rugby here, right?
We'll see.
Sort of like Fiji blended with sort of the muscular defence of South Africa.
If I bring in some Fijian players, then I absolutely will do that. But no, I think there's always the reality. Like, we're playing in a really challenging competition. Like, there needs to be elements of pragmatism at times, and in terms of what our players need to be successful. So yes, I want freedom. Yes, I want the all-court multi-skilled players, but ultimately building them up to a point where they know when to use that and when to unleash it versus when to kind of do the simple things really well and build on the kind of fundamentals of the game. And I think that's where kind of the standard setting comes in now in pre-season, and then we just continue to layer that on. And ultimately, with my first season, it's potentially not going to be this year, but as we build over the next couple of seasons, then it's certainly the kind of mentality that I want to instill in that group of players and take us forward. So yeah. We'll see.
And a few wins as well. Few wins along the way, I'm
absolutely
sure. But look, I mean, you mentioned about what a competitive league. I mean, what do you make of BUCS Super Rugby and those sides out there? Because, you know, I've been covering it a long time, and I look down the table now and the institutions and the firepower and the resources, and I just think, oh, I don't think I'd like to play anyone.
And I think that's the thing, like we know how competitive it is, and obviously the BUCS Super for the women's game is it's a fundamental for the PWR's progress, and all of the PWR clubs with their association with the universities, some very directly at the moment, and some who are continuing to build and invest, and that will continue to grow because the PWR will continue to grow. So we know that the level of investment that's going to come into the Brunels, the Surreys, the like MMU will continue to build with Sharks, and so we'll see all of that connection really pushing through, which will do a couple of things. It will absolutely enhance the quality that's already there, and it will make it a tough gig for like us at Edinburgh, how we work with Scottish Rugby to continue to make sure that we've got the best players available to be competing in BUCS Super as often as possible, because we're going to need them to be competitive and where we want to be.
Yeah. So, go on then, what's the ambition? Win every game in the league and the cup? Win it all?
Not this season. Give me a bit of time. No, I think ultimately we are not like, we want to be in that mix of top four, and we want to be consistently in the mix for top four. And I think when you take in all the factors, like there's some things that we need to fix and establish to allow that to happen consistently. And I think that's the exciting part of me coming in. So some bits that have been really well established by Shanks in previous seasons, and then other bits where we look at how we can add to that and how we can continue to develop. And yeah, ultimately, what we have to do is do that as fast, if not faster, than everybody else, because we know that investment's coming. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant place to be, and you can't not be excited by the quality of the league and the quality of players that are in there, and those that are bouncing from PWR, international age grade, international competition, and you bring them all together on a Wednesday afternoon, and what's not to love about it? So it's a good place to be.
What is not to love about a Wednesday afternoon in BUCS Super Rugby World? Look, Louise, we're pumped to have you on board, and we can't wait to see your Edinburgh in action.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Cheers.